Hello, my Teaserking family. How's everybody today? I am fine. Getting cold here in Detroit. Well. Warren Buffett. Oh, America, gold's going to crash in October. I don't even know if that was this year. It was probably last year. 43.44, up $95 today. Silver back up to 52.60. So what crashed? What's he talking about? If it was going to crash, it would have crashed already. But here it gets back to 4,400, which is about as high as it's gotten, on its way to 10,000. Silver 52.60. It had hit in the 53s. It had touched 54. So again, every time it hits a dollar, 53, 54, 55, there's going to be this pushback. God knows why. It's the stupidest thing in the world. But you have a lot of idiots running COMEX, as you can see. So here goes gold, boom, boom, boom. Buffet, how he's a billionaire. It's like Madoff. Madoff was a billionaire. Ponzi schemed everybody. Warren Buffett's a Madoff. He's a Ponzi schemer with insurance, right? He sells you insurance. He never pays off. He takes all this money and he bought, a million shares of Coke and a million shares of Disney. What a great investor that was. And that's it. So he backed into it. He didn't do it with intelligence. He's not a good investor. Anybody that doesn't understand gold can never be a good investor. So that's where we're at with it. My the second. All right. So that's your gold and silver. It's just going. So there was a video I was watching. I'll briefly touch on this. Why do people go to gold? And again, it's debasement, which she doesn't know what inflation is. And the simple answer, it's a very simple answer, because the governments inflate the money supply to nothing. And they keep doing that. It's not a hidden tax. That's just bullshit. They do it because they have too much government debt, because they print too much money. And it's worthless. You can't just print it out of thin air and it has a value. It doesn't have a value. That's the problem. So the smart people like us, I think the title of it was, so why do most of the people remain poor and the government's manipulating it? No, the government's not manipulating anything. They're trying to print money to get out of their debt. And they normally leave it for the next president. This is the problem with presidents. But they did that. Hey, Titus, did you play a teaser yesterday? You would have won. I hit everything. Everything won. Even Denver came back for me. I couldn't believe it. So the government prints money because they don't understand it, right? They think, well, we'll just keep printing more. That'll pay off our debts. And that's why they do it. They don't even understand that it's inflation. They want, inflation's 2%. Inflation's not 2%. It's not measured. You can't measure it in a percentage. It's just huge. That's what inflation is, printing the money. You print and print and print. You lose track of how much you print. And then you want to say, it's the cost of goods going up. That's the inflation. That's bullshit. That's not an answer. It's the inflating the money supply. So therefore, people run to gold because once you understand that the money supply goes to zero and you're holding money, you have one choice. I got to get out of money and into something that won't be printed to death. And that's gold and silver. You cannot print it. You have to dig it out of the ground, and most of it's dug out of the ground. And now most of it's in the hands of BRICS. I'd say about 80% of it. China's got like 70,000 tons. Russia is probably in there with 20. Don't kid yourself. Putin has swimming pools full of it. He's got a gold train. Believe me, Putin's got at least 20,000 tons. India with 30, Saudi Arabia 20, Brazil, South Africa. All the BRICS countries have much gold because they have to for gold-backed currency. So that's probably 75% of the 200,000 tons of gold out there is already spoken for. Now, as the West starts realizing it, Germany, Italy, France, I don't know if Great Britain's smart enough to realize it, and us in our class, because the rest of the U.S. has their head up their ass buying stocks, which they want to keep you in because they make commission on it. Even though they make commission on nothing, the dollar is worthless. So who cares if I make $1 million? It's worthless. David, good morning. I told this guy in the locker room, I'm getting, I'm doing something coming out of the steam room or something. And the guy's bragging, oh, I went to my financial planner and I'm rich. I got all this money. And so being me, I go up to him and saying, what do you have it in? Is it in dollars? Trying to say, do you have any gold? Trying to say, stop bragging. Your $1 million of paper money is worthless. So he says, well, what do you think? I have it in Bitcoin? And I said, well, I don't know. All you're saying, you're not giving me enough information to answer that question, but I wouldn't be in Bitcoin. Like, why do they think I'd be in Bitcoin? I mean, it's insane. And I'm like, no, I'm not in Bitcoin. That's not real. Crypto is not, you can't have money in crypto because it's not real. So I'm just saying it's not as good as you think it is. Otherwise, I was trying to hold them up to reality, going, your million that you made in stocks on Apple and IBM and whatever the hell else you have isn't worth anything. It's just in dollars. And the dollars aren't worth $1 billion. $1 billion times zero is still zero. And that's what you must understand. $1 billion times zero is zero. So you can have $1 billion, but it isn't worth anything. And that's the problem, and that most people don't understand. So the answer to the video is, why do people go to gold? Is because if you hold dollars, they'll be useless. And he brought up the Romans, and they took their gold and silver out of their coins. And of course, it was worthless unless you kept the gold and silver, unless you kept the coins. But every government does it because they don't know anything, because you have idiots running the government. You don't have people like me as your finance person. They wouldn't want somebody like me because they don't want to be on the gold standard, because then they can't do all the wars and the defense contractors can't make their money. The defense contractor stocks have been going up a lot. Still hacking away. I know, it's getting old. But the defense contractor stocks are going through the roof, which is why the whole idea of the war. But what does that have to do with the inflation? How do you pay for it? Printing money. Oh, so if I'm on the gold standard, I'm limited to how much money I can print unless I raise the gold price, and then I can print more money. But they don't want you to compete. Excuse me. They don't want to compete with the dollar, so they want to make it look like gold's worthless. Gold's a rock. Gold's not worth it. Gold is money, and gold has a great value, and only somebody as devious as Warren Buffett and JP Morgan and those idiots want you in the stock market, want you in insurance annuities. They don't want you in gold because gold they can't control. They don't get commission on gold. Now I'm surprised Morgan Stanley came out with the new portfolio 60-20-20, 60% equities, 20% bonds, 20% gold. As I said yesterday, my portfolio is 100% gold and silver, 0% equity, 0% in the bank, 0% bonds. And I do have baseball cards, but I don't even kind of consider them into my portfolio. That's kind of like assets that have a huge value, but I don't even look at it. My value is the gold and silver. A little bit in the bank, a little bit of money in the safe. That's it. It's not even. It's just there. It's the money in the safe is there, so I don't have to sell gold at these low prices. They're calling for $5,000 gold, 8,000. They don't know what they're doing. The gold price that we're coming up with is at least probably 25,000, but it's going to take a while. So you have to, like now, we had to go to 3, and now we have to go through 4, and then we're going to have to go through 5, and then we're going to have to go through 6 and 7 and 8, and it'll keep going till at least 20 to 25,000 and probably higher. Why? How can you make this prediction? I'm trying to be like my cousin Vinny. Well, how do you know? Just by looking at the tire tracks that it was not made by that car. How can you be so sure? Because the dollar's worthless. They're leaving you no escapes. We're on the Titanic. This is sinking. This is sinking. So we're leaving you only one option. And the only option is not, oh, I'll go into euros. I'll go into British pounds. I'll go into Swiss francs. I'll go into yuan or rubles or the yen or whatever other currency. Those are all, it's a big boat. It's full of all these paper currencies. So if you can imagine, there's 80 different currencies. So on the Titanic, there's 80 different compartments with all the different world's currencies. And it's sinking. And the only lifeboat to go to is gold and silver. And as people start realizing it from these other countries that their dollar's worth shit too, because it's printed and not backed by anything, AKA Bitcoin. Only Bitcoin isn't even printed. It just isn't backed by anything. None of the dollars are backed. So as more and more demand piles in to buy gold and silver, the price keeps going up because let's say BRICS has 75% of it. Where are you going to find the gold? Oh, you can't because China ain't selling and Russia's not selling. So there's going to be this small little amount of gold floating around that you can pay 7, 8, 10,000 for. So being prudent as we are, this must be Daria. What is it, like WhatsApp time? Anyway, sorry about that. So everybody has to go into gold and silver. So high demand, low price, low, not only low price, but low supply. So if there's only, uh, let's say there's only 5 of these bottles that exist now, the value of this goes up dramatically if more than 5 people want it. So if 20 people want a Canadian Club and only there's only 10 bottles for 20 people, the price is going to go up because as the number 11 wants it, he's going to pay more for it because he wants it. Money's not the object. Well, that's what you have in gold. As you have billions of people realizing the dollars are worthless and they have to get into gold. And let's not forget, China and India understand gold, and there's billions of people there that are buying. China buys. Pat in Singapore says it's an 8-hour line to go into the store to get a coin, if they even have it. They're all being sold out. Again, COMEX is a paper price, which we don't give a fuck about, even though that's pricing it. But the real price is the physical price. So as it goes up and up and up, there's no stopping it because people will pay whatever it takes. So people will pay 200, 300 for this. The other 10 people, so 10 people got it. The other 10 want it. So they will pay more for it. And that's how gold's going to work. They're going to pay more for it because you have to have it. You have to get out of toilet paper, monopoly money. I have to sell it. I have to get out of it. It's worthless. And I'll just keep buying gold, or, gold's too expensive. I'll buy silver. I'll buy quarter ounces of gold or 1/10 of an ounce. So at 4,000, the quarter ounce is 1,000. Well, it's probably like 1,200. Well, I can afford 1,200. I can't afford 4,400. And that's the thing. And it's just going to keep going and going and going because they're printing the dollar to zero. That's what inflation is, not debasement. Debasement is coins. Taking the gold out of the ruble, out of the Roman coin is debasement, not the dollars. And it's not. So inflation is money, is prices going up. Inflation's not prices going up. It's what happens. You inflate the dollars become worthless. It then takes more dollars to buy a steak. That is not the price of the steak going up. It's the dollar losing value, and I need more of them to buy the same steak. That's what it is. Let me read what Titus. I had USC with UCLA, with Utah under, with Oklahoma under, with Florida under, with Ohio State under, and Washington lost my 70. Yeah, had I done that again, I probably wouldn't have done Washington because it was big noon. And I thought about it. I would have given you the LSU under, or there was the Dallas over yesterday, the pro free pick. I left Georgia off and was thinking about leaving Washington off for Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt would have won. Washington, like I said, this big noon shit. Again, we got a big noon. UCLA goes to Indiana, 9 a.m. There you go. I had another 17 parlay as well. David, TK Raiders are terrible. Well, we know that. I mean, we talk about it every week. They need a quarterback. If they can get Daggio, Raiders will be first place. I mean, look at Denver with Bo Nix, and he's not in Daggio's class. Or the kid at Arizona State, or the kid at Baylor is great. I mean, there you go. They're all better than Geno Smith. They're still in college. Titus, I had Baylor over. Georgia Tech, there you go. Marshall over, there you go. North Texas over, there you go. Cowboys over. Bucks. The Bucks over Texas Tech money line loss. Well, yeah, I would have talked you out of Texas Tech because the quarterback was hurt. And the Arizona State quarterback played. Now you almost won it at the end. They took the lead. That's how good they were. But I would have talked you out of it. Arizona State's good, and with the quarterback out, I'd have had you on Ohio State under or something like that. Especially you went 12 and 2 on my end. Wow. Yeah, 12 out of 14, and yesterday was 7-0. The only I pushed on the Denver game, but I had Arizona, New England under. I mean, it was Philly under. Yeah, like I said, it was Christmas this week. And the loser Washington was, but I did stay away from Texas Tech. But the loser Washington was just, they were close. I think Michigan, it was 14-7 in the fourth quarter. They didn't score, but I loved USC. And what is it with this? Let's go on fourth down crap. I'll get back to money in a minute. What is everybody? Oh, it's fourth and let's go for it. What is that? Miami still hasn't learned their lesson. Miami of Florida. Notice how I cleverly kept us away from Miami because it's a big game, and I know the coach chokes. The whole SEC, there's like 5 over teams, and there's like 7 under teams. Texas, Oklahoma, Mississippi State, Florida, South Carolina, Kentucky, Auburn. You didn't even have Auburn. I had Auburn. Under with somebody. With Missouri. I played the under in that game. The whole SEC, you just go under on. Except for Alabama, Tennessee was over. I hit that one. You didn't have that one, Titus. I had that one. Somebody wanted to play Alabama, and I talked him into the over, which was just 52, which was a joke. But that's why I grade the teams, and that's why I play so many games is the different conferences. So I go under in South Carolina's game and under with Florida. But then I go over Alabama, Tennessee. I play A&M, which I was debating about going over or taking A&M, so I hit that one. But then I have Ohio State under, USC. I avoided the Purdue didn't score. I avoided that one. And UCLA I had plus 3.5. The quarterback got hurt in the game, and he threw a couple of interceptions. So I don't know if he got hurt or he just threw a lot of interceptions. But that was the other thing, because they've been scoring a lot. And Maryland put up a big number on Nebraska. I thought that game would be in the 60s. I was surprised there. But the Big Ten, Ohio State, Wisconsin was a beautiful under. Should have locked that one because you're not scoring on Ohio State. I knew Wisconsin wouldn't. I think I said it in our comments that if you can bet that they'll get shut out, bet it because they will, and they did. It was beautiful. Penn State almost got a win against Iowa. Florida State now with 4 losses in a row. Like, what the fuck? That was one of my losers, Florida State. I thought would beat. Finally, they're getting a Z team, and they lose that game. And now I figured out Florida State's problem. They don't have a quarterback. Against Alabama, he was able to run, but when he has to throw, he sucks. So Florida State's got another Uglia Buglia. They're not going to win another game because if you're relying on him to throw the ball for touchdowns, it ain't going to happen. Titus. Oh, yeah, Texas Tech. 12 for 14 on my end. Wow. David, did you take KC in the under? No, I didn't play the game. I would never have played KC. I did think about the under. I had it circled. Here, my plays were Cincinnati over with Pittsburgh, which one? I had the Rams under with Jacksonville, which one? I had Philly, Minnesota under, which one? I had New England, Tennessee under, which one? I was going to play New Orleans, Chicago, but there was weather and I wasn't sure. And so I backed off of that one. I had Denver -1, so I got a miracle on that one. I had Arizona as a home dog because Green Bay sucks as a road favorite. I had the over, obviously, Washington, Dallas. That was your free play. And I was going to play the under in Atlanta, Frisco, and I just had so many games played, I didn't play it. I do have both games played tonight. So I'm 7-0 right now in the pros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7-0 in games that I bet. Really, I think the only loser I would have had was the under in the San Diego Indy game, but I didn't play it, and I did like Indy. Now let's look at the teasers. The Rams 21-4, W. Philly off of 2 losses. They did win the game. I played it under. KC 17-3 is a home favorite. That one. Play against Tennessee 20-3. That one. Play against Miami as a road dog 14-1. That one. Play against New Orleans as a road dog 7-1. That one. Indy 6-1 as a road dogs, now 7-1 as a road dog. Denver 22-2 is now 23-2. Green Bay, play against Green Bay as a road favorite 8-1. It's now 9-1. Arizona as a home dog, you could play it either way. 10-2 is now 11-2. Both ways won as they lost by 4. So you tease Green Bay, you won. You tease Arizona and won. I took Arizona. Washington, Dallas, I played over. Washington, 23-3 lost. We lost Daniels to a hamstring. Hopefully he's not out too long. Mariota comes in. He sucks. Atlanta and Frisco, there was nothing. Today, Tampa Bay, 22-2 in a teaser. Houston, 21-3 in a teaser. You do the math. This is why I do question are the teaser trends usable? And they're not when you get like Caleb there. Now we got a new coach. We can't use last year's Bears, even though they probably aren't going to be too far because you have Caleb. But that's what you look at. So like Tampa Bay, they're 22-2. I can use them. You had Baker in the coach. Going back another year, they're 38-5 in a teaser. Absolutely. And 15-0 as a road dog. So you can use all that. Houston 11-2 as a road dog. They're a road dog tonight. Just let the numbers make the picks for you. Stop analyzing it. Keep it simple. Stupid. There was a thing we had at Hiram Walker, my Canadian club, and the VP, the CFO, would say, "Kiss. Keep it simple. Stupid." And we loved that. That was so apropos. Titus, I like to play all of your games. You don't want to play, but I actually don't know who you're going to play. Well, that's why you buy the picks, because then you know who I'm playing. When I go through the games, I'm trying to give an opinion of what I think will happen. And when you won 18 grand, I think 5 or 6 of the games I didn't play. There was a few unders and overs that, I kind of hesitated on, or I have more favorites. But yeah, I mean, you can pay me as a consultant if you don't want to buy the picks, and then, that's $50, and then give me 20% of the ticket. We can do that. But I don't like just giving picking 10 games for somebody. Then you've got my picks. And if I go 9-1, well, no, I want to make money on the picks. So you got to pay me like a consultant or something, or if you want that. But I don't want to really do a lot of this 20%, because I don't know what you're doing with the picks. And you were selling some of them, which I don't mind. Just give me my cut. What helps me is paying attention to the professor and his direction. Well, this is why I grade the teams. So, you're figuring it out with my help of laying it on a platter for you. Dallas is an over team. Okay, well, that's a big clue. Maybe you'll play Dallas over. And when you get them against Daniels, it's an automatic over. So that was that was the first one I thought, 53 over 47. I think at halftime it was in the 40s. Now this is really interesting. My score on Dallas was 35-31, 66. And the score ended 44-22, 66. I nailed the score. I didn't nail it 35-31, but Daniels got hurt. It probably would have been 30. It would have probably been close because I know the guy threw a pick six, Mariota, which maybe was so that maybe gets you 37-30 or something like that. I didn't do a lot of scores. I didn't really feel the scores, but I felt the games. See, now I understand it. See, you get a little noisy in the beginning because they don't play preseason. You've got new coaches. Really, it's new coordinators, right? The problem is the coordinators are new. And if the coordinators are new, you don't know what type of team you're getting, right? So now the Bears changed their quarterback. Look at Dallas. They changed their coordinator, their coach, who was a good offensive coordinator, I guess. I never heard of him. And all of a sudden, look at Dak. He's throwing for 1,000 yards. Every game's going to 70 with them. They still have no defense. They have a 31 defense. And they gave up 22, and Daniels played half a game. But what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to teach you to understand how to bet. I'm teaching you all about gold and silver. So when you're asked by your kids or your family, like Bobby gets asked, he can explain it to them. We can't hold dollars anymore. No, I can't take gold to the grocery store. Where did they get that question? Well, I have a Picasso. Well, you can't take it to the grocery store. It's worth $10 million. Yeah, but you can't take it to the grocery store. I have this nice Rolex that's worth 100,000. Yeah, but gosh darn it, you can't take it to the grocery store. Where are people getting these stupid ideas from? This week seems like a lot of spreads compared to overs and unders. Well, let's look at this week. So that was that. I have both games played tonight, which I think you could guess what I'm playing based on teaser trends, which is why I do teaser trends, because it goes back to the early 80s when Cincinnati played at Philadelphia, and Philly was a 7-point favorite, and Randall Cunningham against Boomer Esiason. And I took Philly -1, and Cincinnati won the game. And I said, boy, I wish I would have known that I should have taken Cincy as the dog. Like, I wish I would have known which way to go with it. And that was like I was like 10-1 that day. And I was in Vegas. And that's really what you do. You go through. And that was the whole point of it. Oh, they're a good road dog. Oh, they're a bad road dog. They're a good home favorite. And once you understand that, the team. Now, you have to be very careful with the new coordinator, with this new Tennessee, new coach. How do we play it? Well, they still suck because Cam Ward sucks. So then it becomes judging the talent. Dak's usually bad. They got a new coordinator. They're throwing a lot. They got Pickens. CeeDee Lamb came back. Okay, so now we understand what we're going to do with them. But we're in week 7, and now I understand Indy, and I understand San Diego, Denver, New England, and Indy. I think we got to start betting them. Jacksonville, we stay away. They're not very good. But that's what I learned. And in college, it's the same thing. Oh, Missouri's got this new quarterback. Damn good. Okay, well, he wasn't there last year. So that's what you learn. And by about now, I get, that's why now I ran the table this weekend. I'll run it again 3 or 4 more times. That's why I say don't judge me on 1 week. I'm still getting confused, but now that's week 3 or 4. I had a terrible week 2 or 3 weeks ago. Not anymore. Last week was great. This week's great. Next week coming up will be fine. That's the point of it. I'm learning and I know what to look for when I learn. Alabama, I'm fine with them. That Alabama-Tennessee game, I got Joey Aguilar, which I already knew from App State. I knew that would be high scoring. I can see Auburn's a strong defensive team. South Carolina, Oklahoma, they'll never go over. They're at under, whoever they're playing, under. And it's a winner every week. Oklahoma, Texas, that's why it was a lock. 2 great defenses, and Arch Manning sucks, and Mateer had a broken hand he tried to play with. Yeah, they got 6 points. That's what you learn is who is the team. And that's why it might be an over or an under. Baylor, always an over with TCU, loved it. You get that over or under, or I bet the team, or, Ohio State, they're always an under. You can't score on them, especially when they play a Wisconsin or a good defensive team. Then there's not going to be points. And Ohio State's not going to score. Should have locked the Ohio State under. You can't lock everything, but that was begging for a lock. 40 under 48. They win 34-0. I think I called the score, something like that. But that's what you look. That's why I look at each conference. There's always the strong team, the weak team, the over, the under team, in every conference. So that's why I have so many plays. In the pros, it's set. It looks like there's a lot of teams off next week. I got 6 teams off. All right, so let's look at the pros next week. Minnesota goes to San Diego on Thursday Night Football. There's no stupid Sunday morning game. Minnesota, kind of an under team. Carson Wentz sucks. Their defense is good. They got Jefferson. Wentz, I was shocked, put up 22 on Philly. San Diego, I don't know what their tackles are injured. Herbert's terrible. Their defense, they got rid of Bosa. They didn't replace him. He thinks he's at Michigan, going to play Iowa and Illinois. San Diego, what was their score? They lost to Indy 38-24. They gave up 38 points. I got to make an adjustment. San Diego isn't this great defensive team they were last year. You shouldn't get rid of Joey Bosa. And so what I have San Diego of is they were an under team because they have a 21 defense. Shame on me. I don't think they're an under team. The stats, they just don't score a lot. So I don't know what San Diego is right now. I'm blind right now. Both tackles are out. The running backs are out. They're not even an under team. Their defense isn't there. They're just basically a bad team. They're probably a W. But it's hard to take Minnesota when you got Carson Wentz, or even worse, J.J. McCarthy. Titus, you're busy today, Titus. You going to sweep the board this weekend ahead? Can't wait. Sweep the board NCAA. Are the Chargers an over team now? I don't know what the Chargers are. The numbers set under. I think it depends who they play. I think if they play Buffalo, Baltimore, Kansas City, it's going to be high scoring. But the problem is both their tackles are injured. They can't protect the quarterback. They can't score. Their running backs are out. So they're I think they're a W team, really. I think they're a weak team. And Harbaugh's fucked them up just like John Harbaugh's fucked up Baltimore. Now, I don't have lines in here. I will make my own lines up. Frisco and Houston. Frisco looked pretty good last night against Atlanta. even though Fred Warner's out, their defense looked good. Atlanta, I don't like their coordinator. You got Penix, B.J. Robinson. The fuck are you doing? You should be scoring 30 points a game. Houston, great defensive team. This looks like an under, but I don't know the number. Right off the bat, that jumps out at me. Chicago, playing decent. Caleb, he still sucks. Johnson's running these fancy plays. Their defense got 3 of their secondary back that have been out, so they're playing a little bit better. And then you go to Baltimore, who's desperate now. Problem is you still got Lamar. You don't know what to do with this game because, I mean, Baltimore's got to win the rest of their games to have any chance. They're good enough to do it, I think. I don't know if they're good enough to beat Pitt. Depending on the line, it would be really hard to take Chicago here. But you can't trust Lamar and Harbaugh's. Both Harbaughs are terrible. So we'll have to see. My guess, Baltimore by 10, maybe 7. I don't know. Buffalo goes to Carolina. I think Buffalo wins big here. That's enough for Steve Young playing these weak teams. Here's a real team, and they are off of a loss, I believe. Look for them to regroup and have a big game. The Giants in Philly, I don't know. The Giants, all of a sudden, Dart, is he that good? Well, he fell apart in the fourth quarter for us to win with Denver yesterday. I thought there was no way. And then I saw him get a touchdown. Then they got a pick, and they got another touchdown. And now we're down 3, and I go, maybe I can do it. And Dart choked, got the intercept. He got the touchdown. I think the refs are horrible. That pass interference call was terrible. Why are you bailing out these teams on 4th and 19? The ref should not be calling pass interference unless the guy just tackles the guy, which wasn't the case. The defense is going after the ball. They're trying to knock the ball down. I think the defense needs to learn, I can kind of cheat, but I don't have to cheat like that, like Lester Hayes used to do. Michael Haynes, the great Raider guys, they would kill Jack Tatum. He'd kill you, but he never got called. He might get called on a late hit, but he never got called. Look when he hit Frenchie Fuqua on the Immaculate Reception. There was no interference call there. He knew how to hit you and without getting the interference. Now, granted, these refs, I'm seeing women ref out there. What the hell is a woman doing roughing an NFL game? Are you kidding me? There's no way. A woman never played, could not possibly ref. She doesn't know, because you got to know when I can't throw the flag. You don't bail a team out on 4th and 19. And there was the other play at the goal line when Dart scored the touchdown with a minute left. It was an interference play. And it's funny, in the replay, they don't show you the interference. And then Peyton went out and got a penalty, which he could have cared because the ball was at the 2-yard line anyway. But he was right. The refs are just horrible. We wonder why we think the games are fixed. Well, that's one of the reasons. You're calling this horseshit pass interference call, bailing out the team. So these teams just throw the ball long, and they tell the receiver to just hold the defender and fall down. And these refs are like idiots, just calling pass interference. And then I love how the analysts go, well, it was pass interference. Well, it doesn't matter. You don't bail them out. We had the same thing in basketball, right? You could kill Michael Jordan, and they weren't calling the penalty in the last 10 seconds of the game. There's no fouls. We're not bailing. You got to make the shot. We are not bailing you out with a bullshit foul call. That's why they swallowed the whistles, and they need to do that in the NFL because this is just trash. But I'm just too much bailout. All right. So the Giants in Philly, again, we don't know. The Giants beat them on Thursday night. I don't call this revenge. I don't know. Where's Philly's defense? Philly, Minnesota should have been a 20-point game. It's 28. It was a 50-point game. Thank God it was under 51. But Philly's got a 24 defense. Philly isn't Philly. They let too many of their players go, and they should have let Jalen Hurts go instead, because you can replace him. He's a dime a dozen. He's not good. But the defense they don't have the same defense. It's a 24 defense, of which you let Minnesota put up 22 points with Carson Wentz. This game's probably an over, the Giants-Philly game. Cleveland and New England. I like New England there. Cleveland sucks. Their coach is in over his head. Their quarterback, I like Gabriel, but I don't know. The Jets at Cincy. All of a sudden, Joe Flacco, they're an over team. The Jets suck. They benched Fields yesterday. Well, don't you realize he sucks? Don't you understand Fields sucks, and you can take him and you think you're going to make him better? He can't throw. He cannot throw over the linebacker and drop it in. I heard that last year. He can only throw the ball straight. Why is he your quarterback? With all the guys out there, you got Fields? Are you kidding? So I don't like the Jets coach, and I don't like him. I think Cincinnati, I'll make a line in a minute. Miami goes to Atlanta. I think Atlanta kills them. I think Miami quit. They're benching Tagovailoa. I don't know if he'll play. I don't know who the new guy is. Skylar Thompson. Atlanta off the loss. Penix throws the prettiest ball. Their offensive coordinator should be fired. He's terrible. And they keep going for fourth down. You don't do it against certain teams like the Niners. Why do you keep going for fourth down? Kick your field goal. Take your points. There's games. It's risk and reward. Like I keep going back to Georgia, Alabama. Georgia's at the 10. They're down 3, 24-21, 8 minutes left. You kick your field goal. You tie the game. No, they didn't. They went for it. Even if they got it, okay, now it's first and goal at the 9. You're still not scoring. You're still going to kick the field goal. But now you took this huge risk to get a first down for what? What was the point? There was no point. You're down 3. You need the 3 points. That's the game. The team with the most points wins. You got a chance to get the 3. Get the 3. You had no chance to score a touchdown there. Just incredibly stupid. So Atlanta, look for them to be a little pissy. Tampa Bay, New Orleans. Tampa Bay, I'll kill them. Tennessee and Indy. What did New Orleans? I mean, they put up 14 against the Bears. Spencer Rattler is not a pro quarterback. Jesus Christ. Tennessee goes to Indy. Indy will kill them. Dallas goes to Denver. Very interesting game. Dallas, big play. Probably a live dog here. Denver to play the Giants that badly. I don't know. Green Bay goes to Pitt. Very interesting game. Super Bowl teams here. I think it's a live dog. Whoever the dog is, it's a live dog game. And I'm not really impressed with Micah Parsons is good, but they're giving up a lot of points to Jacoby Brissett. They made him look like a superstar. And then Washington, Kansas City. We'll see how Daniels is doing. If he's out, it's Kansas City all over. So until we get the injuries, I can try to come up with the line. San Diego at home against Minnie. San Diego -4. I don't normally guess on the totals, but I will say if it's over under. Frisco goes to Houston. Houston by 3. Chicago goes to Baltimore. Baltimore by 7. Buffalo goes to Carolina. Buffalo by 7. Should be 10. The Giants, Philly by 3. Cleveland, New England -7. The Jets, Cincinnati -7. Miami goes to Atlanta -10. Tampa Bay, New Orleans, Tampa Bay -7. Tennessee, Indy -14. Dallas goes to Denver. I'll make Denver a small favorite. Green Bay goes to Pitt. I I don't know who they're going to make. Let's say Pitt's -3, but it could be Green Bay -3. Washington goes to KC. Daniels with the hamstring. Let's assume he's out. KC -10. Now we'll see what the real lines are and the totals, and then you understand the team. So we know Houston is a great under team. They have a 12 defense. Then we got teams, if I just look at what I did, the Rams are an 18, but I think they're off. Minnesota is a 19. We know they're a good defense. New England's a 20. Indy's a 19. Denver's a 16. Atlanta's a 20. And Houston's a 12. And Seattle's a 20. So I love the Houston, Seattle. They're both strong defenses. It looks like they're off too. So we got, and here's the other problem. We got 6 teams off, which doesn't help us because that's who we want to bet on. Maybe we want to bet on the Rams. Well, we can't. They're off, which really sucks. Washington, Daniels has got the hamstring. We can't bet him. Although we can bet against Mariota. There's always a routine in it that you learn. You got a quarterback injured or a receiver injured, your first thought is, well, I won't play the team. But your first thought should be, hey, maybe it's an under. If the quarterback's out, if Daniels is out and I got Mariota, he sucks. They're not going to score. That's how I am with Minnesota and Wentz. He sucks. So that's the other thing. Fields, he sucks anyway. When he plays, you like that. Miami, I don't know if they're going with Tua or not. Indy looks strong with Daniel Jones. That's the other part. That's part 2. Is you look at, I know a lot of people had this with Bo Nix when he was at Auburn, and they say he sucks. And he went to Oregon and he lit it up for 2 years. But they still saw him at Auburn saying he sucks. Well, how is he now? Pretty fucking good. And that's the thing you got to understand. Is Daniel Jones really the same quarterback we saw at the Giants, or all of a sudden Indy gives him an offense he can be successful at? Sam Darnold, the same thing. And that's where you got to kind of let it go and look at your eyes and going, yeah, Sam Darnold's not bad. Daniel Jones, I mean, he's better than Richardson. So he's okay, even though their best quarterback is the guy from Kansas, Beans. So you've got to be open-minded to see the changes and go, yeah. Now you try not to get fooled and go, well, he still sucks. But apparently he doesn't. I mean, they lit up San Diego. So is San Diego an over? I just think they're a bad team. I don't think they're an over. I think their defense showed against Daniel Jones, but if they played the Jets, it would be an under game. So that's why sometimes you got to watch who you're playing. If you're playing an explosive, if they're playing Dallas, it's an over game. If they're playing the Jets, it's an under game, or Miami or Cleveland. And that's why you have to know how do you rank the team? Are they over, under, A's or Z's? And we got a lot of Z teams. I mean, look at my Z teams as of yesterday. The Jets, they lost. Oakland's a W team, but they should be a Z. They lost. Tennessee got killed. Miami got killed. New Orleans got killed. So right there, all the Z teams got killed because that's what they are. They're terrible teams. Is San Diego not a Z? Are they a W? Both offensive tackles out. Herbert sucks. No running. Do you have a defense? Well, you got rid of Bosa. Khalil Mack, I don't know if he plays. And this ain't the Big Ten where you're playing Northwestern and Indiana. So you take it from there. San Diego does not look like they have this great defense anymore with no tackles, no running backs. The quarterback, Herbert, never was really impressive. He lost a lot of big games. So I don't know. This isn't the same team that beat Kansas City, so they're in flux. We will see. So that's next week in the pros. Let's look at college. So the pros are getting hard because the teams are so bad and so inconsistent. All right, so 16-4 in college last week. The free play, which actually was a lock. Somebody questioned me going, "You made the free play the lock?" And I go, "Well, it was such a good game. I initially gave USC out 16.5. I emailed most of my customers saying, I know it's Sunday night, but I see 10.5. I expect the line to go down." And it did. It went from down to 7.5 and then went back up to 9.5. And I think even 10 at game time, which was very strange. I didn't understand it. My score was at USC 34-31. It was 34-24, Notre Dame. So I played that. UCLA's been hot, so I played UCLA. I got lucky. I laid away from Virginia, who scores a ton, but when I saw Washington State play Ole Miss, it confused me into playing Georgia under as opposed to maybe Ole Miss in 13. UTSA North Texas over. Indiana I took against Michigan State. Ohio State under. Should have been a lock, as I said. Texas A&M I had -1 against Arkansas. Now all the teams are there. Georgia Tech, I know you get them with points. Vandy I had to lay away because I bet it under because they were playing LSU, and I warned, be careful with Vandy. Now they did win 31-24. It was a 55, and we were 55.5, 56. So we did win the under. But it's not the place to play Daggio against a good LSU team. And yet he still scored 31. So that tells me a lot about Daggio. He's your number one quarterback, but they won't make him because he didn't win the Heisman. Titus, I think it's just the matchup when it comes to the Chargers defense. If they play an over team, it's over. If they play an under team, it's under. Yeah, I think that's the way it is in a lot of these. If you got a very good team and look at Denver and the Giants. I mean, that turned into an over game because they scored. It wasn't going to go over. I have Denver -1 and the Giants are up, and Denver again at the goal line, go for it, 4th and 1, didn't make it. You're just shaking your head and going, what the fuck? There was a game where they did that, and then the team lost by 2 points, and they didn't go for the field goal early on, and you're just going, what? Why are you giving up point? They do realize that the object of the game is to outscore the other team. I think these guys don't understand that. Well, we're at midfield. Let's go. Arizona did that. 4th and something, 4th and 2. Michael Parsons is on the other team. Let's not forget that. 4th and 2. And he's at midfield, and they go for it. And I think they were up 3 or the game was tied. And you're like, what are you doing? And they didn't get it, of course. They ran Brissett on a quarterback sneak. He needed 1.5 yards. He didn't even get a half yard. He got nothing. He lost yards. Okay, this is your strategy. We're going to run a quarterback sneak at a 4th and 1.5 against Michael Parsons. In a game, I think they were winning by 3. Are you out of your fucking mind? You have to punt the ball 100% of the time and play defense. Your defense was doing well. Why would you give them the ball at midfield? But they don't think if they don't make it. These guys are idiots. If I don't make it, I lose the game. I got to punt. Well, no, I'll go for it. Why? Why are you going for it? And the announcer, and he's like, "Oh yeah, no, I think that's good. They're being aggressive. They lost the game, moron. That is not to be aggressive. Is on defense. You don't 4th and 1 at your own 49 against Green Bay is not a go for it. It's a punt 100% of the time. Kick them out. Maybe they fumble the punt. Put them down at the 5-yard line. Now they got to go, 70, 80 yards to get in field goal position. I mean, to give them the ball at midfield, That's why you lost the game. You're going to lose the game on that. So it was really bizarre coaching. This let's go, it's fourth down, and the fucking announcers. Where did you find these morons from? Chris Collinsworth, Brady, Tony Romo, the biggest choke in the world. Where do you find them? Even Herb Kirkstreet or Kirk Herbstreit, whatever his name is. No, Herb Kirkstreet. I like calling him. They're all idiots. They don't analyze anything. Oh, look at that block by the wide receiver. Who gives a fuck? Can he catch the ball? It's not why you're supposed to be an analyst. You're not. You're just telling us what we're watching in between 10 minutes of commercials. But what is the point? And the analyst always said, oh, yeah, that was pass interference. That was holding. If they were playing, they would be bitching about it. And then it's just to keep going for it on fourth down, and it's aggressive, and they all agree with it. What is that? No, that's stupid. You punt 100% of the time. At midfield, you punt the ball. That's what you do. You get them deep, and you pin them at the 5, and you do a Ray guy, coffin corner punt that goes out at the 2. Now you're at the 2. Now the first place is to hand off up the middle. You've already got them. You've already got second and long because they can't really run a play. They're just trying to not get a safety. Maybe you get a safety on them. But what is this with this? Let's everybody go on 4th and 1. And most of the, especially against better teams, they don't make it. The only time it gets is this tush push rugby bullshit, which should be illegal. I heard that you can't help the player now, but yet they did it and they didn't call a penalty. There was a touchdown, must have been in the Green Bay game where they pulled the guy into the end zone. Or maybe it was the 49er. Yeah, there was a 49er guy. And the guard pulls him into the end zone. And the guy said, no, it's supposed to be a penalty. You can't assist the runner or pull him. Yet they did. Yet there was no penalty. And yet they're still doing the Bush tush, which is basically aiding the runner by pushing him. So I don't know what I'm watching football. The runner has to make it on his own, this assist. But this is really pathetic. Too many bailouts by the refs. Too many let's go for fourth down. The Giants missed the extra point. They didn't go for 2. They just missed it. The guy missed the extra point. He should be at the grocery store today. If you're the Giants and you don't cut this guy, then you're fucking stupider than I thought. I'm not sure why Jackson Dart's out there instead of Russell Wilson. I think that's a big mistake. Maybe you have bad linemen, so Dart needs to run more. But Dart caved in yesterday. He collapsed and cost them the game. But they won't say that. Oh, he's a rookie. He's the greatest thing since sliced bread. He's almost as good as Fields. I mean, he threw an interception, and you're up by like 10 points, and there's like 6 minutes left in the game. You're supposed to be running the ball for first downs. Joe Montana would do that. Tom Brady would do that. What the fuck are you doing? He throws a pass that wasn't even close, gets intercepted. Next thing you know, 2 plays later, Denver scores. It's now 26-23. And you're making it a close game. That shouldn't have been. You don't know how to play. You don't know how. You're not smart enough. So that's the problem with Jackson Dart. He's still trying to run. When he goes back to pass, he's throwing interceptions, especially at the wrong time. That's my bitch about these quarterbacks. They can all throw 30-yard passes when the guy's wide open, when they're wearing shorts in training camp. It's during the game that you can't read the guy and you throw an interception. You threw it right into the guy's stomach. I mean, no, you can't do that. That's why I say they're not ready. And Lamar does that plenty. All right. So let's look at college. I did my grades, but I haven't put them on my paper yet. I just did that last night, and I took a break to watch the game. I will grade everything here, and then I will see what the lines are. We talked confidence a few weeks ago when I was losing a lot of games. It really hurts your confidence. You question, can I do this or not? And then you have the last few weeks that I had, which were outstanding. And now you're going, yeah, my thought process is correct. it was right. I just got bad. Um, it just didn't go according to form. Like here, you got uh, a team that's 22-2 in a teaser, and you bet them, and they win, they win, they win. And now they're 25-2, and you bet them, and they lose, and you just go, wait, didn't? Why did they lose? Well, they're 25-2. Things happen, and that's what happened a few weeks ago. All the 25-2s went to 25-3s, which is just unusual. All right. There are 2 Tuesday games. Who gives a shit? Kennesaw State and Florida International. Again, this bullshit Conference USA. Western Kentucky Tech. Western Kentucky's not an over team anymore. Wednesday, Middle Tennessee, Delaware, and Missouri State, New Mexico State. Who gives a fuck? Thursday, South Alabama, Georgia State. Who gives a fuck? If you bet any of these games, you need your head examined. There's no way you can pick these games. Friday, there's no Big Ten games. We have they're all the big noon games now. And I wouldn't mind if it was, why isn't Michigan State the big noon game? No, it's UCLA against Indiana is the big noon game. Let's get UCLA to play at 9 a.m. and fuck up all the guys that have figured out UCLA. North Texas, Charlotte. North Texas should kill them. Cal, Virginia Tech. Cal has to fly to the East Coast. And Boise, Nevada. Boise should kill them. Saturday, Mississippi State, Oklahoma. If this line is anywhere in the 40s, just bet the farm on the under. Mississippi State, a good under team. Oklahoma, a great under team with no offense. Beautiful game. So this is an under. We hope it's 43, 44. That's what separates the bet from the lock. If it's 50, it's a lock. There's no way they're scoring 56 points in this game. If it's 45, under 51, it's a lock. If it's 40, it's just a play. And that's where the line determines the lock, because we know this is an under game. Kansas State, Kansas, good game at Kansas. Virginia goes to North Carolina. North Carolina with a pretty good defense. No offense. Virginia, we know, great quarterback. Syracuse goes to my Georgia Tech. Here we like Georgia Tech. Syracuse quarterback's out. They got the backup in. He's okay, but this is my Georgia Tech here. UCLA goes to Indiana. Now, this I would be all over, but the quarterback got dinged a little bit for UCLA through 2-3 interceptions. Did come back and win the game for us. But you're facing Indiana here. I'm not going to bet against Indiana with UCLA. Indiana's looking for number one. They're not going to be flat here. South Florida goes to Memphis in what should be an over game, 2 over teams. Auburn goes to Arkansas. Now here you have the variant. This is the hardest part to figure. We have Auburn, this great defensive team with absolutely no offense. Against Arkansas, a great offensive team with no defense. What do? Right? You think Auburn will shut them down a little bit, but Auburn should score on Arkansas. So where I normally am been taking Auburn under, we now have this divergence of this high-scoring team playing the under team. And it depends on the line. I do think Auburn played Baylor earlier and beat them. It was a fairly high-scoring game because Baylor can't stop the wind. So look at Arkansas as Baylor. Auburn did win the game. And so then you start comparing it. You start fishing for who do they play. That's why I took A&M over Arkansas, because they went to Notre Dame and won. Notre Dame couldn't handle Reed and that offense. And it was 41-40 or something. And that's the point. So I knew they'd go to Arkansas. They had been to Notre Dame and they'd win, and they did. But they don't have a defense, A&M, which, again, Notre Dame was a 42-41 game or something. Texas goes to Mississippi State. Well, that doesn't make sense. I got Oklahoma playing Mississippi State. Oh, no, Oklahoma's playing Ole Miss. Texas is playing Mississippi State. That's the under. Okay, Oklahoma's playing Ole Miss. So ignore the under there, although it could be an under. Ole Miss is going to have trouble scoring in this game, but it's not an all under game. So my apologies. It is Mississippi. The last I looks like a T. Mississippi's probably a live dog here. I would think. Oklahoma, great defense. I wouldn't be too high. Old Miss struggled with Kentucky 30-23. Georgia, maybe they don't have the defense. Tennessee 42-40, and now a big game with Old Miss. Maybe Georgia's the problem with their defense, and Oklahoma has no problem with their defense. So we'll readjust the Oklahoma Old Miss game to maybe it's a live dog. Texas, Mississippi State. Now this just switches. This is the under game that if it's over 45, we're locking it. Missouri, Vandy, great game. Two strong teams. I don't know if this is an over or an under. It's probably a tease the dog game. Two excellent defenses, two excellent offenses, good quarterbacks. Vandy scored on LSU 31 points. They don't claim to have this great defense. They're a good defense, but they do win the games. All right, they lost to Alabama 30-14. Okay, we get it. Missouri's a very live dog here. My guess is Vandy will be a 3-point favorite, but Missouri was the favorite last week, which I was surprised at. Missouri was favored at Auburn. They won 23-17 in overtime. So I don't know if Missouri, maybe they'll be favored at Vandy, and then we'll take Doggio as the dog. We'll route the dog in this game. But it's not an over or an under. Vanderbilt's defense isn't that strong. Great offense, great quarterback. Same with Missouri. They will score. So, again, this leaves you with playing the dog versus playing the total. Illinois goes to Washington. Washington, I don't know how they lost to Michigan. That's ridiculous. Okay, big noon didn't help. 9 in the morning. They looked tired. So Illinois at Washington, I think Illinois might be a live dog here. Maybe depends on what the point spread is. Over or under, probably an over. Illinois can score. Washington's got a good quarterback. Just didn't show up against Michigan. Wisconsin goes to Oregon. Oregon should get them here. Northwestern goes to Nebraska. Looks like an under game. Let's go. Alabama goes to South Carolina. South Carolina, good defense, no offense. Lenora Sellers doesn't look good at all. Alabama, are they going to be flat after playing Tennessee? The answer is no. You cannot. It's college. It's in the conference. They are not going to be flat. I think Alabama wins here. If you can get it under 3, that's the play. Maybe it's an under, depending on how high it is. If it's in the 50s, it's an under. South Carolina's not going to score for you, but they have a pretty good defense. BYU goes to Iowa State. BYU played Utah in a war. It's called I can't remember what it's called, but BYU, Iowa State, they're a very live dog at home against BYU. We'll see what the spread is. Baylor goes to Cincinnati. This is probably an over. Sorsby, he's lighting up Kansas. He's lighting up Iowa State. Baylor, nobody stops Baylor's offense. Baylor with the weak defense. So this is probably an over. Probably in the 60s, I would guess. We'll see. Oak State and Texas Tech. Oak State's the Z team. Texas Tech, we got to see if the quarterback's back. They'll be pissed after the loss. If the quarterback's back, take Texas Tech here. If he's not back, take him anyway. TCU goes to West Virginia. West Virginia is terrible. TCU, I think they beat Baylor. What was that? 42-36. Typical TCU Baylor game, right? TCU probably destroys West Virginia. Let's see what the spread is. Stanford goes to Miami of Florida. Cristobal does his magic and fucks up because he's a terrible coach. Miami will probably be laying in the 20s. They should win after the loss. Stanford has to travel across country. Stanford beat Florida State, but Miami has a quarterback, I think. They just don't have a coach. BC goes to Louisville. BC's a high-scoring team. Louisville beat Miami, and they look really good beating Miami. So I don't know if they'll be flat, maybe. Texas A&M goes to Bobby. They're going to play in Bobby's backyard. Bobby owns a stadium, right? LSU. A&M, very good quarterback. Not a good defense. LSU with a pretty good defense. Scored 24 on Vanderbilt, which who knows. Interesting game. This is not an under. See, here's where I'm getting caught. Last week it was beautiful, right? It was South Carolina. It was Florida, Mississippi State. It was Oklahoma, South Carolina. Beautiful unders as we had. Oklahoma, Texas. We had all these unders. It was beautiful. Not this week. A&M, an over team, plays LSU, an under team. What do you do? A&M, Vanderbilt put up 31. A&M's going to put up more. LSU, you can't play the game under. Maybe you play it over. If LSU can score, they should be able to score on it. But we got to see what the total is. Michigan plays Michigan State. This game haunts me. Every time I go, okay, Michigan's a better team. They're going to win. Michigan State wins, especially at home. I don't know what to tell you. Michigan State's an over team. Michigan, they're going to run Justice Haynes for 80 yards. Very difficult. I think we need to see the spread. Again, Michigan with a good defense, good running, weak quarterback, and MSU a good nothing. Weak defense. Indiana beat them by 25. We're laying 21. Normally, I don't lay that many points in the conference, but something just told me take Indiana down to 21 and they win by 25. That's the week it was, right? I don't know. Maybe it's an under. I don't. I got to see the dog. It's a tough one. Tennessee goes to Kentucky. Tennessee, a very explosive team. Kentucky doesn't show much. All right, they played Alabama pretty good. They were able to move the ball. Look for Tennessee to be explosive in this game. Kentucky, if we look at last week, so it's 37-20, Alabama. So Tennessee did put up 20, and I'm sure they went for fourth down and didn't get it. And your Kentucky played Texas to an overtime. I think it was 10-10. That's mostly Kentucky's defense is mighty tough, but not Tennessee's. So we're getting this. I don't have over to go over like I did last week, and I had under to go under. I've got high-scoring Tennessee playing kind of a defensive team in Kentucky, as we do with other games. So maybe we go TCU, West Virginia over, the Baylor over. This is why we look at every conference. There's value in every conference. There's high scoring teams, there's low scoring teams. Look at our pick last week with North Texas against UTSA. They're in the same conference. It was like 60 something, and they played an 80, but it was mostly North Texas doing the scoring. So you got to be careful here with Kentucky, Tennessee. Houston and Arizona State. I thought Houston was an under team. They are not an under team. They are winning, but they're not an under. They don't have this 10 defense that I thought they did. Arizona State, this quarterback's fantastic. They just win. They have a very good defense. This might be an under. We'll see. But Leavitt's a very good quarterback. He'd look good in Oakland, right? And our last game, Colorado goes to Utah. Utah has just lost to BYU in a war. I think it's called the Holy War. Utah, BYU. So BYU will be flat this week. Utah would be flat, but they lost. And here's where you got to advance. You got the Oklahoma-Texas game. Okay. Texas won. Oklahoma played a low-scoring game, as we knew, against whom? That was our lock. Oklahoma, 4.5 to South Carolina. They win 26-7. Off of the loss, they won. Now, because it was a low-scoring team, South Carolina, that's why it was the lock. But I don't have too much of that this week. So Utah off of the loss should be good. I don't know if Colorado can handle Dampier. He's very good. He's very quick, but he's good. He's Kyler Murray, but he can throw the ball. That's Dampier. Very explosive. He brought him back. I mean, the game ended at 24-21. It was like 6-6 going into the fourth quarter, and all of a sudden they started scoring. So BYU wins 24-21. That was another lock under where the total was 50. We went under 56. It got up to 45. But that was like late in the game. It got up to 45. So that's what you're looking for, are those matchups. Now we got to, after this, I'll grade I have all the teams graded. I just got to put it on my paper. And then we'll bring in the lines and we'll look for our steals. I didn't talk MAC or Sunbelt. It was bad enough talking Conference USA Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Do they actually think on Tuesday you're going to bet the Kennesaw State Florida International game? Really? That's why they're doing it, is to get you to bet on it. Oh, it's Tuesday. There's a game. I can bet on it. Because they know you're going to lose probably, 70% of the time you're going to lose unless you follow me. And I'm going to keep you away from shit like that. Again, that's the point of the grading system. Alabama, South Carolina. Don't look for South Carolina to score much. If we get a nice spread because it's at South Carolina, now people will read into it. Well, they might be flat because they played Tennessee. It doesn't work like that. They're not. They've already got their loss to Florida State. They are not going to lose again. Maybe to Auburn because Auburn's got the good defense. They're only going to lose to a very strong defensive team where they can't run and the quarterback throws 3 interceptions. It ain't going to happen against South Carolina. So there's some teams that have the loss that you just get. Notre Dame, I don't think they're going to lose the rest of the way. Are they a playoff team? I don't think so. The good teams they played was Miami, and they lost, and Texas A&M, and they lost. Beating Purdue and whoever else they beat does not make them a playoff team just because of their record. This was a good win against USC, so you've had 2 bad losses, 1 good win. Beating Stanford does not qualify you into a playoff. Just FYI. Well, you're welcome, Titus. That's why I do what I do. I like teaching, especially stuff like gold in this. It's very important. There's too many people that go to football betting and poker, and I'll bring more poker strategy in. But they do it blindly. It's like nobody buys gold because they don't know that they don't know the dollar's worthless, and they don't know gold's the only lifeboat. So they don't do it. So they go to their financial planner. No, stay in stocks. Buy Tesla, buy Apple, buy Amazon. Oh, he must know what he's talking about. I'm going to listen to him. And this is why everybody goes broke. There's a video I want to show you, at least a few minutes of it, where, let's see where we're at. All right. $43.45 gold, $52.28 silver. Now, a year ago, I told you silver will go to 100. Nobody believed me. Now you're starting to believe me. And the gold at 43.45, nobody would think it was struggling to get over 2,000. Nobody would think we're going to get $44,000 gold, but me, because I knew it would have to, because as I was explaining, you have this that is worthless in the whole fucking world. So like in the Titanic, all the decks have different countries with their money, and it's all going to the bottom of the Atlantic. But how many people understand that? And then what lifeboat do I have? And how many people understand the lifeboat's gold and silver? Because it can't be printed and it's a real asset and it's real money is why you go into that. That's why I sometimes say go buy a nice mantle card that's graded, that'll hold its value. Get a Rolex, get a Picasso or a Van Gogh, like I got over here is a Van Gogh, but it's just a poster. It's not real. But that's why you go into it. They're highly demanded and very limited. The difference is the Van Gogh and the Picasso are already way up there in price, as is the Rolex. The mantle card's up there too, but gold and silver, they're still down here. This is the price, but this is the real price. This is the physical price. This is the paper COMEX price. And so people don't really understand that that's their only way out. And that's why I'm here, Titus, is to explain to people. I don't want to see people get hurt. I don't want to see people lose their money or their life savings, or kids' college education, because they're in the fucking stocks in a 401k or in dollars in the bank. And then poof, it's gone. I don't want to see that. And so our play, as I give you football plays, as I teach you about poker, is gold and silver is our play to survive. That's the key. That's the lock. The lock's Oklahoma, Texas under. The lock's gold and silver. You cannot lose with it. It's impossible. It can only go up because as people realize the dollar, that's the government's play. We'll just inflate the money. We'll just keep printing it. And idiots like Jim Rickards and Peter Schiff don't understand it. And they go, just keep printing it. And then they're wrong. You can't. And then the value of the dollar goes down and stakes are $20. Oh, and the CPI is this. So the inflation's up 2%. What kind of crap is that? What do you mean inflation's up 2%? First of all, you can't measure it. If you were to measure it, I looked at gold, silver, a house, and a car, and I got 4 different results on inflation. And they're all in the thousands, right? Gold was from $35 to $43.45. I don't think that's 3%. And you got to go back to 1971 to today for inflation. You don't go 25 to 24 year over year for inflation. That's a bunch of crap. So that's the point. Once that happens, you go into the gold and silver because that's the only choice the government has because they want to go to war because they're run by the defense contractors. So all they keep why is Russia, Ukraine even at war? It's a joke. There's no reason for it. There's no reason for Ukraine to invade Russia or to have this war, which the US provoked to get Russia into the war because they wanted Russia's metals and material and the oil and all that Russia has, the US is trying to steal. That's why there's a war. And then they don't want Russia going on the gold standard. And we saw what they did with Saddam Hussein and Gaddafi. They murdered them. But you can't murder Putin and Xi and the rest of the BRICS. So the BRICS ganged up and said, you got to kill 40 countries. Can't do that. I'm sure the US is trying, but they can't. So that's the object, is to educate what I know. And you can see me doing it in football, grading the team. Who knows to grade a team? I mean, nobody's even heard of that, but that's the key to it. If you know the type of team, you know Tennessee's the worst team in the pros, you just bet against them. And then I back it up with my teaser trends that says in a teaser, Tennessee's 0-12 in a teaser. And so you would then go, this is easy. Where's the worst team? Let's bet against them. Who's the best team? Well, that's a little harder is when teams change and you get an Indianapolis, and you're going, are they any good? I don't. Daniel Jones, he stinks. And they keep winning and winning. And then you either go, you don't know what to do with them because they really haven't proven, but they seem to be doing well. Now they get new coaches. The Dallas coach seems to be an offensive guy. Never heard of him. Where did he come from? And then all of a sudden, Dak's not throwing 2 picks a game. Okay, so we can play Dallas over, which is what I just gave you. So that's why I do it. And that's the point of it. I don't like writing enough to write a book. So here's my book right here. And we changed quite a bit. All right. Let's go to these couple of videos. Some idiot's trying to give me a stock tip. Sorry, dude, I don't play stocks. They're for idiots. All right. So here's the nations are losing faith in the dollar. Is gold the final answer? Yes, I'm not going to play that. That's from Alligator. Yeah, as I just said, the dollars are worthless because it's a system made on it can't work. It can only work if you don't inflate them. So this only works if you keep it limited. That's what the gold's for, to keep it limited, but the governments won't keep it limited. So the system's made to fall apart because as the greed comes in and people want money to be printed, so JP Morgan prints $1 million and puts it in his pocket. Eddie did that with Madoff, and he's doing this with Trump, and he's giving him money. The money loses value. That's why you don't pay the debt off with the 37 trillion. Why don't we just print 37 trillion? Because this would be worth zero. So it's the nature of the system that this is going to be printed to death, and therefore everybody's going to be broke. That's the nature of the game. It happens every time. You cannot print and print and print. But yet you would think they would learn that, but they don't. Then the next government, oh, we'll try this dollar. Oh, let's go to a stable coin. What are you backing the stable coin with? Dollars. Okay, so that's worth nothing. They don't get it. You have to back it by gold. But who gets it? BRICS, Russia, China, India. So that's going to force the gold price up because they get it. They go, if our money is going to stay valued, we have to back it by gold. And the U.S. is sitting there going, well, we'll just keep backing it by dollars. And we'll just keep having wars and we'll buy our military. I know nobody has money, but hey, the UK, France, Germany, buy our military, buy our weapons. Because you know what? They're the ones who are our lobbyists and they keep paying me. So they're paying me to get the money. So I need you to buy the weapons. So let's keep having wars. And we'll murder all these people, but who cares? I'm rich. You just want to throw up with these guys. All right. So here's one, the financial tricks the government uses, which is kind of what I just said, but we'll watch about 5 minutes of this.
48 Barriers is family-owned company.
Nobody cares.
System. Asset prices soared. Stock. Governments like to tell you they're working for your financial freedom. They talk about stability, opportunity, growth. But if you look closer,
who believes
history tells a very different story. Governments have long used hidden financial tricks to keep ordinary people dependent, while concentrating wealth and power at the top. These tricks are not new. They've been recycled for centuries, repackaged, given new names. But the goal has always been the same: shift wealth upward and keep the majority working harder for less. The oldest trick is inflation. It's simple but powerful. When a government spends more than it collects in taxes, it has two choices. One is to raise taxes openly. Politically, that's risky. People resist. Revolts can happen. The other option is quieter. Debase the currency. Reduce the value of each coin or note, and the public loses wealth without realizing it. Ancient Rome mastered this tactic. In the 3rd century AD, emperors faced huge military expenses. Instead of raising taxes, they reduced the silver content of the denarius. What was once nearly pure silver became mostly copper with a thin layer of silver.
That's the only thing that's what debasement is. So I don't know why they keep, you're not debasing the dollar, you're just inflating it. But for some reason, they like to call it debasing, taking the gold and silver out of the coin. Now, if you're a Roman, I would have kept my gold or silver as much as I could have. And then as they're coming up with this crap money, so that's the end of the Roman Empire. So why did they do that? Because they needed money. I mean, you had gold, so I don't buy this guy's excuse.
Kept using the coins, thinking nothing had changed. But their purchasing power shrank. Inflation soared. Savings evaporated. Wages couldn't keep up. This wasn't a mistake.
Okay, wages aren't supposed to keep up. Your wage is based on the market. I'm a financial analyst. I get paid what a financial analyst gets paid. My wages aren't keeping up with anything but the market. If I'm supposed to make 100,000 because I'm a financial analyst with the masters, that's what I make. If there's inflation, my salary doesn't go up because of anything. It's all the market dictates my salary. Wages do not keep up with inflation, nor should they. Nothing keeps up with inflation but gold and silver. Again, the guy's not quite clear.
It was a deliberate strategy, and it hasn't disappeared. Modern governments use central banks, printing money or manipulating interest rates, achieving the same result: a quiet, invisible tax on ordinary citizens. The Middle Ages had a similar trick: forced loans. Monarchs in England, France, and Spain regularly compelled wealthy merchants and guilds to lend money to the crown. Refusal wasn't an option. Punishments included fines, confiscation, or worse. Sometimes loans came with interest, Sometimes repayment was delayed, sometimes never at all. Meanwhile, kings funded wars, palaces, and lavish lifestyles. The merchants lost. The crown profited. Duty and patriotism were used as a disguise for coercion. By the 17th century, governments perfected the trick with debt. Britain created the Bank of England in 1694. The government needed money to fight France. Wealthy investors purchased bonds, and the crown promised interest. Who paid those interest payments? Ordinary people, through taxes on everyday goods like salt, beer, and cloth. The wealthy lent money and earned secure returns. The poor paid for it. The system was elegant. Risk-free returns for the elite, financed by ordinary citizens. And the pattern remains today. Lending to governments is among the safest investments. Repayment?
Okay, no, it's not the safe investments. The government can't afford to pay you back. We owe 37 trillion. We're not paying Joe Bob $5,000 on his bond back. What the fuck's this guy talking about?
However, falls on the masses. Modern governments continue these tricks, just in new forms. Deficit spending, for example. Politicians borrow huge sums and claim it's for infrastructure, jobs, or social programs. On paper, it seems beneficial,
No,
but
it
much of
doesn't.
the money flows to defense contractors, corporate subsidies, and bailouts. When the debt comes due, governments don't usually cut top-level spending. Instead, they raise taxes, reduce social programs, or allow inflation to erode the value of money. Ordinary people.
This is why we don't listen to the government, because this is what they do. We fight the government quietly. We buy gold and silver. That's how we win the game. It's a game. We win it by holding gold and silver and ignoring everything this idiot says. The only way this ends good is to have a competitive government. You have 2 or 3 or 4 governments, and they compete with each other just like Ford, GM, and Mercedes, and they have to be better and cheaper than the other. Is the only way. If you go all the way back to the Romans and all the way through, every government's corrupt. France, England, Spain, they're all corrupt. Now, Jesus, with Trump, it's even worse. It's all corrupt. So the only way to play the game is to get out of it. And the only way to get out of it is to own gold and silver. You're not going to inflate me. You're not going to tax me. And I'm not going to listen to you. You're going to inflate the money. You're going to do bail-ins where the banks steal my money. You're going to do bail-ins with the stock market where the banks who own it, like JP Morgan owns E-Trade now and everything. That's where I used to be. And they'll pull it. So the banks who own the stocks will pull your money. You can't get your money out. See, you think you have the money, try getting it out. You won't be able to. And if you can't get the money out, what good is the money? I got $1 million. Okay, go get it. They won't let me have it. But it's there. Well, it's not there. Bitcoin, that's the biggest scam going. Try to get your money out. See if you can. And then you got to take it to a bank. The bank's going to charge you. You're going to pay 1099 tax and try to get the money. Well, yeah, I got a Bitcoin, so it's worth $100,000. I want it. Well, you can't have, well, in 90 days, we'll give you 5,000 of it. Gold you have. Gold, physical gold you got in your hand. Nobody can fuck with you with it. That's the whole point. You can't lose with it. All this other rhetoric and bullshit this guy's talking about, it's just noise. It's all corruption. It's printing the money, making it worthless. Everything he just said is printing the money, making it worthless. Inflation, not debasement. Yes, the Rome's debased the gold and silver out of the coins. That's the only thing that debasement is, not what they're doing now. But again, they're going to inflate because the government doesn't want to look like idiots. So when they keep printing money to pay for government employees, Social Security, the debt, the defense contractors, they print money and it makes it worthless. And that's the trick. Now, it does not make the rich richer and the poor poorer. It makes everybody poor, because even if the rich get money ahead, they still are in money. And if they're not smart enough to go into gold and silver, what do they have? They have nothing. They have useless, worthless money.
Shoulder the burden.
An IQ of 85 to 115 is considered average in the US. An IQ of
Shut the fuck
Or
up.
allow inflation to erode the value of money. Ordinary people shoulder the burden. The elite reap the reward.
No, they don't.
The trick remains the same. Money appears to help the public, but the public pays first. Bailouts are another form of the same pattern. During the 2008 financial crisis, banks took reckless risks with mortgages and derivatives. They nearly collapsed the global economy. Who paid for the rescue? Ordinary taxpayers. Who profited afterward? The very same banks. Privatized gains, socialized losses, and the public was told it was necessary to save the system. Pensions are yet another hidden transfer of wealth. Citizens contribute for decades, trusting that money will be there in retirement. But governments rarely save it. Contributions are spent immediately. What remains are promises. Future taxpayers are supposed to cover the bills. The system works until demographics shift. Populations age. Fewer workers support more retirees. Then the government reforms pensions. Benefits are reduced. Retirement ages rise. Inflation devalues payouts. Ordinary people lose. The trick remains unchanged. Perception is crucial. Inflation is called growth. Forced loans are duty. National debt is investment. Bailouts are stability. Pension reform is progress. The language hides the reality. Money moves from the many to the few. History shows it works because most people don't study economics or see the trap until it's too late. Quantitative easing is a modern version. After the 2008 crisis, central banks created trillions of dollars out of thin air to stabilize markets. Politicians claimed it was necessary to prevent collapse. And it worked for the financial system. Asset prices soared, stocks, bonds, real estate. But who owns most of these assets? The wealthy. Ordinary households saw little benefit. Meanwhile,
So this is why all these are worthless. They printed all this money. So yes, people are wealthier in this crap, monopoly money, right? Your house is priced in monopoly money, or whatever you bought. It's worth more in this garbage. What they're not saying is this has no value. And that is where we win. And we understand the guy might be a millionaire or a billionaire, but it's in dollars. And he doesn't know that the dollars are worthless. Now, some billionaires are buying gold because they are starting to realize the dollar's worthless. I'm not sure who told them, because financial advisors would never tell you to buy gold. Although you are getting Morgan Stanley to say 60-20-20, get 20% gold. And most people don't have any because they don't listen to me, and therefore they don't have any. And then now they're going to buy it at what, $4,500 an ounce? We bought it at $1,500, $1,700. So that's the big problem. They did all this printing. They made, but the rich get rich temporarily. But in the long run, they're holding dollars or stocks, which are priced in dollars, or a house that's priced in dollars. But the dollar can't survive. It's going, if it isn't already zero. If you listen to Egon, he's like, oh, it's 99% loss its value. And I don't know how you can differentiate 99% from 100%. Either it has value or it doesn't have value. How do you, saying 99% of the value is bullshit. It's lost all its value. This is 100% gone. This is 100% gone. How can it be 99% gone? It's 100%. It's worthless. Yeah, I can go to the grocery store because they're stupid. They don't know. They don't take it. Even when I go to the gold store, I go, "You still taking cash?" He goes, "Yeah." And I look at him and I'm like, "Why? Don't you understand it's worthless?" And I tell him. And, so he's sitting there with worthless paper and he's allowing Rumpelstiltskin to come in. Now it's $4,400 to buy an ounce of gold, that he should never be taking the paper. Why do you take this for gold? I don't want this for gold. I don't want to sell gold for this. I don't want to sell gold. Yes, if I need a bill or want to take a vacation, I'll sell an ounce.
While inflation slowly eroded purchasing power. The trick? Money creation stabilizes the system for the top, while everyday people struggle to keep up.
No, it doesn't stabilize the system. Everybody loses. The only ones who win the game are the ones who end up with gold and silver. The rich don't stabilize the system by having a lot of money that's worthless. You only win with gold and silver because they're real assets that you can't print to zero like you can print the dollar.
Taxation works the same way. Instead of raising income tax directly, governments tax indirectly. Sales taxes, fuel duties, and inflation. When prices rise faster than wages, the public loses wealth silently. Citizens feel they're earning more, but in real terms, they're losing. Regulatory capture is another tool. Regulations are meant to protect the public, but powerful industries shape the rules. Railroads in the 19th century, oil companies in the 20th, tech and finance today, they all influence regulations to protect profits. On the surface, the public sees protection. Behind the curtain, corporations carve loopholes, stifle competition, and secure advantages. Profits stay concentrated at the top. Citizens believe in fairness. The system is rigged. War finance has followed a similar pattern for centuries. During world wars, governments issued bonds, telling citizens it was their patriotic duty to invest. Wealthy investors gained secure returns. Ordinary taxpayers funded the wars. In the 21st century, wars in Iraq and Afghanistan followed the same pattern. Trillions were borrowed. Defense contractors and banks profited. The public paid, often for decades after the conflicts ended. Emergencies are always temporary. Financial burdens last for generations. Complexity is the final trick. Tax codes, financial instruments, and budgets are intentionally opaque. If the public can't follow the money, the transfer of wealth continues unnoticed. Ancient Rome had debased coins. Today, it's spreadsheets, acronyms, and policies. The principle is the same. Make it too complex to understand, and ordinary citizens cannot resist. The lesson is...
That's why we go to gold. It's very simple. You own this physical gold. They can't print it. They can't inflate it. It's not taxed. It's a beautiful thing. So we don't have to, we just ignore all this noise. Oh, you're raising taxes? Who gives a fuck? Oh, it's this, it's that, it's that. You've inflated. Who gives a fuck? Yes, it's going to raise prices. So when we buy food, then maybe we have to sell an ounce of silver. But if you notice, the ounce of silver went to $53. Coca-Cola's $3 at the grocery store. Yeah, I can sell an ounce and I can live for a couple of months with the 1 ounce of silver. That's why I tell you to still buy silver. But again, you can't print silver. And again, when you need to get out of money, it into gold and silver, and the gold's 7,000-8,000 an ounce. You'll be buying silver at 500-600 an ounce. And yes, silver will be 500. It will be 1,000. It probably will be 2,000. I don't see it stopping. because as you have to get out of money, there's two lifeboats, gold and silver. And as gold gets so expensive, the rich can afford it. The poorer can't, but they still know to get out of dollars. So okay, we can buy silver. That's still a lifeboat. And that's the key to it. So if you understand gold and silver, gold's too expensive. You buy silver, and at least you can eat and go to the doctor, get clothes. You're fine with it. So that's really the key. You avoid all the noise with gold and silver, right? Everything he's talking about, the rich get richer. The rich don't get richer if they're still in dollars. Who gets richer? Oh, those with gold and silver, those with the mantle cards, those with the Rolexes. That's who gets richer. It's not rich or poor. It's highly intelligent people, smart enough to understand limited items that have high demand is where you put your money. And that doesn't have to do with rich or poor. That's intelligence.
Simple. These mechanisms, inflation, forced loans, debt, bailouts, pensions, stealth taxation, regulatory capture, war finance, and complexity, have persisted for centuries. They shift wealth upward while keeping ordinary people working harder for less. Understanding history is critical. Financial literacy is resistance. Knowledge is the best defense against silent wealth transfers. Ordinary people who ignore these lessons are at the mercy of systems designed to protect the powerful. Recognizing the tricks is the first step. The next is learning how to protect wealth and navigate the system.
So the craziest thing happened to me today.
We don't
I got
care.
a psychic reading.
Shut the fuck
I know.
up.
Next is learning how to protect wealth and navigate the system. Because if you don't, history will repeat itself, and your financial freedom will be quietly eroded, one policy at a time. The tricks didn't vanish with time, they just evolved. Governments found new ways to extract wealth without appearing to do so. Debt, bailouts, inflation, regulatory capture, they all persist, often in more sophisticated forms. Deficit spending is one of the clearest examples. Politicians borrow enormous sums, claiming it's for infrastructure, healthcare, or education. It sounds beneficial, but much of the money flows to defense contractors, corporate subsidies, and banks. When repayment comes due, ordinary citizens shoulder the burden. Taxes rise, social programs are cut. Inflation eats away at savings. Meanwhile, the wealthy, bondholders, investors, and large corporations receive steady returns. The public pays first, the elite profit first. Bailouts are another modern trick, disguised as emergency measures. In 2008, banks took massive risks with mortgage-backed securities and derivatives. The financial system teetered on collapse. Who paid to stabilize it? Ordinary taxpayers. Who benefited afterward? The very same banks. The public was told it was necessary to save the system. The reality? Privatized gains, socialized losses. It was a transfer of wealth disguised as rescue. Pensions.
But you're still in dollars. So whatever this is, even though they're getting more money, they're still in monopoly money. You might have more of it, but it's worthless. So I will end it with that. If you buy gold and silver, and it's got to be physical, no ETFs, no stocks. You buy physical gold and silver. You put it in a very safe place, not in a safety deposit box at a bank. You get a safe. You put it in one of these U-Haul lockers or something. Now, Egon says to diversify it into different countries. If we have maybe 100 ounces, I can't see doing that. Again, maybe with silver, 100 ounces of silver, I got 2 big containers with my silver. That would be hard to travel with. But 10 ounces of gold is this is this is the same containers I put my gold in. These are my my casino chips. Here's 5 of them. Yeah, it's pretty easy to walk around with 5 ounces of silver. I'm probably going to be okay. And like I showed you, you stick it in your wallet. You put a couple ounces in here, right? And you go through the plastic bin. Right. So I put 2 ounces of gold in here, close it up, put it in my shoe on the plastic. They're looking for weapons. It's not a weapon. They're not, or you just stick it in there in your shoe with quarters. They're not looking for it. Maybe they will later, but now they're not. And that's how you have no problem. And it's a lot of money, and you only need 5 or 10 ounces. So that's the key, really. But put it in a safe place. You don't have to insure it. I don't insure it. I don't really want anybody to know I have it. So it's a very quiet thing. It's not needed yet, and it's nowhere near the value that it really is. And that's the beauty of people pricing gold and silver and paper, not physical, where it's 10 times higher. So we're getting a big bang for our bucks. We're getting out of something that's worthless, and we're getting into something that we can't lose, that is so undervalued. And it's the only way to survive. They can't inflate gold. They can't print it. That's the beauty of it. That's why we get into it. It's way undervalued because of the paper. It's going to go physical thanks to bricks. The demand's huge, and the price is so undervalued. It's crazy. So all these reasons to have it, and they just gave you all the reasons not to have, to not be in paper, is they inflate it and they do this and they do that. All these little tricks. They think we're a bunch of idiots, the government. We get it. The more you print, the less it's worth. Everything else is bullshit. All right, let's see. I think there was... Here's a quick one. I won't get too much. The real reason millionaires are buying gold, which we know it's because they realize the dollar's worthless. Well, we can watch a few minutes of this.
Corporation gold has always carried a certain mystique. For centuries, it's been a symbol of wealth, power, and stability. But in 2025, something unusual is happening. Millionaires across the world are quietly shifting their money into gold. Not stocks, not real estate, not crypto, but the same shiny metal that ancient kings hoarded. The question is, why now? What do they know that the average person doesn't? Stay tuned, because by the end of this video, you'll see that gold isn't just a precious metal. It's a warning signal. Before we get deep into this, take a moment and tell me, where are you watching from?
Fuck
Which
off.
country and what
None
time
of
of
your
day is it?
business.
I'm asking because the answer might reveal something important. You see, gold's story changes depending on where you live. For Americans, it's a hedge against inflation. For Europeans, it's protection against a fragile banking system. And for
Or
people
inflation.
in Asia, Africa, it's survival, a way to store
Against
value
inflation.
outside the reach of collapsing currencies. Now, if you're new here, hit that like button, subscribe, and let's get into why gold, an ancient form of money, is suddenly back in fashion among the rich. First,
I'm sorry, it's not an ancient form of money. It's money. It's the same money that back then as it is now, and it still can't be printed. What the fuck's this guy talking about?
you need to understand one thing.
The global financial system is built on confidence. Everything from your savings account to the stock market depends on trust, the belief that money will hold its value, that governments will repay their debts, and that banks will stay solvent. But that trust is fading.
Who would think that? Who believes any of this crap? I have no trust in the government. All they do is lie to us. The banks, they're the biggest crooks. JP Morgan has been in more scandals than anybody. Madoff, all the gold price fixing, COMEX. Who the fuck believes the banks? The banks are running the government. So it's the same thing. No, nobody trusts the government.
Inflation has eaten into purchasing power. Central banks are drowning in debt. And geopolitical tensions are reshaping the balance of power. When confidence cracks, gold shines. Let's start with inflation. In the last few years, governments printed trillions to keep economies afloat during crises. That money didn't disappear. It spread through the economy, driving up prices everywhere. Housing, food, fuel, healthcare, everything costs more. Central banks tried to fix it by raising interest rates, but the damage was already done.
So he thinks inflation is rising prices. This is the first problem that we have trying to watch these things, as we know he's wrong. They printed a lot of money, which is why you go into gold, because the whole world printed money, as I said in the last video, and therefore it's not worth anything. So everybody gets out of their fake money into gold because the governments just print the money to death. You get into gold, they can't print it. Titus, I remember when gold was 1,600 and you said it would go up. Now look at it. Yeah, and it really wasn't just because, like I guessed. I know what's happening, and I'm telling you it's going to go up from here. I'm telling you it's going to go over 10,000. And it's not a guess. I'm not forecasting. I'm telling you what the reality is, and I'm explaining it. So I can tell you, because the dollars are being printed and they're going to be worthless. That's what most people don't understand. That's where we're way ahead of the curve. I like to be like the Joker. I'm 5 steps ahead of the curve. And that's why we know the dollar's worthless, and we know the only lifeboat is gold and silver. So therefore the price has to go up. That's the point. And yes, 1,600. And now look at it, and it ain't even started yet. Because once the world gets out and buys gold, as we see Pat comes on once in a while from Singapore, he joins the class, and he said it's like I think 4 or 6 hour line. If you go to the gold store to buy jewelry or bars or coins, it's like 4 to 6 hour wait every day. So it's being woken up in Singapore, probably Hong Kong. We know China, but it ain't in Europe and Germany and Italy, France, Spain. Are they woken up? Maybe. Like I said, when I was in Germany, I asked people and they knew about it. I don't know how much they buy. The problem is me and you go buy 2 ounces here, 3 ounces there, especially now it's near 5,000 an ounce. What can we afford? An ounce and a quarter? Give me 2 quarter ounces, a couple of tenth of an ounces. We can't afford, like I used to buy 5, 10 ounces. I can't do that now. My friend, I got to talk to him. So I explained like I'm doing now, and he went. I took him to the gold store, and he had $100,000, just a worker in the back, 100 grand, and he bought 100 grand worth of gold, which I think at the time was close to 50. It was about 50 ounces he got. Now at 5,000, you get 20. So for the 100 grand that he got 50 for, he now could get 20 for. Figuring 5,000. And that's really the key to it. That's why you're forced to buy now. The available. I went to the guy's store a couple of weeks ago. He didn't have any gold. It was empty. He still has silver, but then if he does it, the prices keep going up. The value of your dollar keeps going down. So we like Rumpelstiltskin in this for gold. I got money in my safe, but where I could have bought maybe 3 ounces, I can now buy 2 ounces. If that, I can probably buy 1.5 ounces. And that's really the point. So that's why I went and I took all I can eat. And now I'm just sitting back watching the price go up. So I've already bought. Unfortunately, it's so hard with these jobs because of the recession we're in that I can't get more money in. So I can just, all I can do is make money watching the gold price go up. So again, if you have 100 ounces of gold and it goes up from 4,200 to 4,300, you just made 10 grand. So when it went, from 3,500 to 4,000, you just made 50 grand. Not a bad job. Not a bad way to make money. As I say, it beats working. This beats the hell out of working, right? This is my job, watching gold go up, watching silver go up. I mean, silver, I got a lot more silver, and I'm watching it go from 25, 26. It's now 53. That's doubled, and it's not even begun. Wait till it doubles again. Getting over 50 was huge, but now we're going to watch it go to 100. And that's when it's very easy to be working. And all we had to do is buy gold and silver and call that a job. There's no tax on it. You do your tax return. They don't say, did you buy or sell gold or silver? There's no 1099 you get. There's no 4W2 you get. I remember when gold was 16, you said it will get to 30K an ounce. You will be right on that too, and it's going up. Yeah, I mean, and then it's just the dollar. Eventually, this goes away because it has no value. We get it, most people don't. But as most people start getting it, they dump this. There's no value in it. Gold hits 50,000 an ounce, but there's no dollar. So gold doubles to 100,000, and gold, you take gold to buy houses and cars with it. You take silver to the grocery store because this is gone. This is worthless. Once nobody wants it and it's worthless, it's gone. So the gold and silver, but where people like Larry Fink and this idiot, this Bitcoin guy think, well, we'll inflate the dollar to zero and that will take the gold and the silver won't be worth anything because it's priced in dollars. And he doesn't get, no, it won't. The gold and silver will double because that's the money. It doesn't need to be priced in dollars. So when we get, as Titus is saying, the 30K and then the dollar collapses, gold doubles because then the money is gold. And that's what BRICS is doing, right? They got all the China with 75, 80,000 tons of gold. Like I said, Russia and India and Saudi Arabia, all these countries have all this gold. That becomes the money. You don't need it priced in dollars. It just is because of the dollar, but the dollar's collapsed. So now you use gold and silver for everything. Look at the Romans. They took the gold and silver out of the coins because the guy wanted to make statues, Nero or whatever, for himself. So he needed the gold for that. But that's where it is. As the dollar goes out, you don't say, oh shit, my gold's going to go out. Your house will go to zero. Your car will go to zero, but not your gold and silver. That'll be what everybody runs to for value to buy things. Will then be gold and silver. We'll be back on the gold standard. We have no choice. You can't keep printing monopoly money, and those in Euro, and those in the US, and those in Asia, and those in Africa understand. Most of the people, the governments are just playing games, and they just don't get it. But yeah, and Titus, the same thing with silver. It's 53 now, on its way to 100, on its way to 1,000. probably on its way to 5 or 10,000 an ounce. And it's not hard to get 100 ounces, 500 ounces of silver. That's very easy to get because it's cheap, right? The goal, as the gold gets more expensive, also people won't be able to afford it or will buy